Hi, everyone. I want to put out a video today to discuss some of the stuff that I discussed a couple of months ago, and that is regarding accessing the hints in the thrill of the chase. Now, before I say anything, obviously I'm giving my opinion here, but some of the stuff that I state is fact. It's not my opinion, and when I discuss such things, I'm going to tell you where it's a fact. But you can assume, obviously, everything else is my opinion. Everyone has opinions. I don't have the chest, so I can't claim that I'm right or I'm wrong. All I can do is try to give you ideas. Maybe it'll push you over the edge. Maybe it'll make you think about something that I haven't thought about. And maybe it'll help you locate more information. So basically, again, just to summarize, in my opinion, the first stanza in the poem is there to tell you to access the thrill of the chase. He says, "As I have gone alone in there." Where did he go alone? Well, he went alone in the memoir. Matter of fact, he's alone on page 23. You could see my other video about that. But that's the point of a memoir. It's focusing on one or more stories in his life. Okay, and so he's alone in there with his memories that he's sharing with us. And with his treasures bold. Well, his treasures bold are in the book. Those are his memories. They're not necessarily his material riches, but those are his memories, things that he treasures in his life. And he boldly displays them and boldly talks about them. He displays them in the pictures. I can keep my secret where? In the memoir. The secret is in his memoir, and the secret he even tells you prior to the poem about the hints being in the book that'll help you with the clues. Those are his secrets. And then the last line, of course, and hint of riches new and old. Well, that's what he's doing in the memoir again. So my theory has always been, why not use the book then? Perhaps all of the clues in the poem work two ways. They refer to a place in the real world, but they also refer to a place in the memoir. So begin the memoir where warm water salts. Take the memoir in the canyon down. If you do that and you locate the hints in the book, then you could then take them hints, which are probably not going to be directly naming places. In fact, if Forrest names a place directly, you could probably assume that's not an answer to a clue. That's not his style. His style is to write. He's a wordsmith. He's a poet. He likes to describe his surroundings so that you have to use your imagination. Okay. He paints a picture with words. And that's what he does in his memoir. He has various stories. So the problem, of course, with this that people are going to say is that there are also a lot of red herrings. Okay. There are a lot of false positives. There are a lot of things that I believe he put there that are designed to throw you off track. But let's look at it this way. We know for a fact that there are hints in there that help the clues. The man's told us this. We also know for a fact that he said many, many times that the successful searcher who finds the chest is going to be somebody who pretty much memorizes the poem and then reads the book over and over and over to locate the hints that live out on the edge, out on the borders, that'll help you with the clues in the poem. Okay. He has said that all you need to solve the poem is, of course, the poem and a good map or Google Earth. And he said, good reference material is the thrill of the chase. So instead of spending time reading scrapbooks, reading his other books, reading For Whom the Bell Tolls, reading Catcher in the Rye, you're not going to really find anything in any of those books. Why not just do what this man, the only man alive, has said? Use the thrill of the chase. Okay. And clearly you're going to get a lot less garbage. Okay. You're going to get a lot less red herrings and rabbit holes in the book than you are if you sit there and just try to rattle off random places of where you believe where warm waters halt. It's not what you and I believe. It's what Forrest believes. And Forrest tells you what he believes in The Thrill of the Chase. So although you're going to get rabbit holes no matter what you do, I believe you're going to get less if you use his book. So the trick has always been, how do you locate those hints? Okay. Well, today I'm going to offer up another way to do it. And as I said before, in poetry, Forrest has stated that he likes to, on the fly, come up with poems that basically describe his surroundings. In one of the videos, I don't remember which one, but he said on the way to the bookstore in the car, he recited a poem that he came up with on the fly that described something he's seen on the way in. Okay. So I don't believe that he hid everything in a poem within the book. That would be too obvious. But I believe that he used plain text analogies. Okay, using the poems would be too obvious. Basically, Forrest uses his writing to paint pictures in your mind. He's not going to name these places directly where warm waters halt. He's not going to name directly the canyon down. He's more likely to paint a picture. Now, the clues as they sit in the poem are far too vague to match with the map until you've, at least in my opinion, until you've went through The Thrill of the Chase and located what Forrest believes, what he tells you, what he describes. And then you kind of use that to decipher, well, what does where warm waters halt really mean? And now you have the tools prepared to go and look on a real map or Google Earth and find these places. If you try to avoid this step, all you're doing is coming up with your own ideas, and you're going to have bias in there. It's extremely hard to avoid. And even worse is to go and watch other YouTube channels and listen to their theories about where warm waters halt and what the canyon down. They don't know. Okay. I don't know. I can sit here and tell you a million places. I've already done a couple of places in my videos, but those are just, pure guesses. Okay. I can't prove any of that unless I get the chest. But what we do know is if we do locate something in The Thrill of the Chase, since Forrest has told us, as a matter of fact, that those hints will help with the clues, that is far more valid than anything you're going to find in any blog, any scrapbook, or any of his other books, or any other books written by somebody else. Okay, like Catcher in the Rye, For Whom the Bell Tolls. You're not going to find anything in there. That stuff is just there. It's just rabbit holes. People have been working years and they're going through that. You're not finding anything new. You could sit and read the book and point out Robert Redford wrote a book. You could point out, connections. The fact that he messed up the plot in For Whom the Bell Tolls. This stuff is not new. We've been discussing this stuff for years. Okay. So it's pointless to keep rambling about the same stuff. None of it's been proving. None of it worked. Okay, so we need to go back to basics. We need to focus on the poem and The Thrill of the Chase. Now, although you can get the poem online for free, let's remember that the poem was officially released as a package within The Thrill of the Chase. Okay, he happened to also put it online for you, but it goes hand in hand with The Thrill of the Chase. He's told us this. Okay. It's a $35 book. If you're going to buy it, I would not suggest you buy it on Amazon or eBay. There's a lot of tools out there trying to rip people off. Okay. Don't do that. All you got to do is buy it for $35 and shipping. Okay. Simple as that. Right. Now, if you don't want to buy it, that's fine. You might as well just turn off this video then, because this video is about using the book. Anyway, so Forrest likes poetry and writing to hide things. Okay, he likes to mention stuff. He likes to bring up analogies that will reflect the environment that he's in, and he's going to do it poetically. He's going to do it through manipulating words. He's going to do it through stories. Now, let me give you an example. I'm going to read you a poem here, and I'll tell you about the poem at the end. But while you're listening to the poem, Try to think of what it's talking about. How clear, how lovely bright, how beautiful to sight. Those beams of morning play, how heaven laughs out with glee. Where, like a bird set free, up from the eastern sea soars the delightful day. Today I shall be strong, no more shall yield to wrong, shall squander life no more. Days lost, I know not how, I shall retrieve them now. Now I shall keep the vow I never kept before. And sanguine the skies, how heavily it dies, into the west away, past touch and sight and sound, no further to be found. How hopeless underground falls the remorseful day. Now that poem is called Remorseless Day, and it was written by A.E. Housman. And that poem does one thing. It describes the sun. Okay. Now Forrest didn't make it that simple, but if you look at his book, and I'll give you one example here. If you look at the Totem Cafe Caper, where he describes where he hated to wash those pots with the brown gravy, okay, and the scalding hot water that he had to wash those dishes. Okay, he said he looked down and his hands were white and cracked with canyons in them. You know, I'm not saying that he's doing this, but let's say he's describing where warm water salt. That that's what I'm getting at. That's the way I think the hints reveal themselves. He's not going to come out in the book and say, where warm water halts is, at Madison Junction. He doesn't work that way. But what he's going to do is kind of describe it. He's going to use analogies. Like I said, washing his hands in the scalding hot water. Okay. White canyons. Okay. Now, what was he cleaning? He was cleaning brown gravy. What else does he say in there? He says that brown gravy and those pots assaulted his senses so much that he hates brown gravy. Okay. He uses the word brown twice there, just like he uses the word my name twice on page 23, where it just so happens that that's the only place you see the word Forrest Fenn, other than captions and copyright page. So this is kind of the way he works, So he could be describing, let's say, let me give you an example. Yellowstone, Mammoth Hot Springs. If you read that first paragraph on page 48, okay, and in your mind, just keep in mind, beginning where warm water salt, take it in the canyon down, not far, blah, blah, put it in, just keep that in the back of your mind and read that. And after you're done reading it, you tell me, do you think that kind of sounds like it's describing Mammoth Junction? Go look at pictures of Mammoth Junction. Okay, all of the colors that you'll see there, he is describing in that paragraph. And think about this: where do warm waters halt in your house? Well, one of the ways they halt, and this only happens with hot water or warm water. It doesn't happen with cold water. The hot water reacts to minerals and it forms calcium deposits. Well, that's exactly what Mammoth is. Okay. Now, some of the algae that you see there, it's all over the place in Yellowstone, but Mammoth Junction pretty much is brown. It's got nothing but brown and white for the most part. Okay. So it could be describing it. And I'm not trying to come up with a solution here. I'm just giving you, an idea of how that may work. Okay. Now, in the poem, he says, begin it where warm water salt, right? So here we're looking at the book, begin the memoir where warm water salt. So let's just assume for the moment that warm water salt on page 48. Okay. Let's just assume that. Let's take this back to the real world now. Okay. So we matched that paragraph up with Mammoth Hot Spring. Well, what starts there? Now, pretend you're in Yellowstone and you're reading the guides. This is not historical stuff. What begins there? Okay, well, it just so happens that the north entrance was the first entrance to the park. What begins there is the Grand Loop Road. And I mean that as a matter of fact. If you read the documentation, they even zone the exits as if it was a clock, with 12 o'clock being at Mammoth. Okay. Everything goes counterclockwise there. So you got an exit out towards Madison, you got a southwest exit, you got an east exit, you got a northeast exit, and then you got a north exit. Okay. Does that sound even a little bit like the Dr. Pepper stuff, 1024? Okay. But again, I'm not trying to get into a solve here. I'm just trying to say that I believe this is how he described things in the book. So now let me get to the point of this video. The point is, it's really difficult to find this information in the book. So one of the things that I tried to do is basically what I happen to have a digital copy of the book, and I made a video about how I did it. It didn't take me longer than about 2 hours. You can easily do it, or you can go someplace to get one created. But it's extremely powerful to have that. So I can read that digitally, but I can also run macros and run code on it and read those words. So one of the things that I've been trying to do is copy those chapters out and use just online summarizing tools. And I'll show you. I got a couple of them here, and I'm using Bessie and Me chapter. It's a small chapter. That's it right there. Okay. So if you look at these tools, I click summarize it. It's got some options. It basically came up with a summary here, and that's supposed to summarize all of this text. And it used these words: stool, tail, Bessie, couldn't, flies, bin, milking, fall, miss, running. And then down here, it highlights the keywords that it came up with in that. So I'm trying to use these tools to summarize each chapter just to kind of get a brief overview of what it means. Okay. And basically, these summarizing tools are using what they call NLP, natural language processing. There's various algorithms that computer companies have made in order to try to do things like read a large article and then come up with a summary that they could use to make a headline for the article. Okay. Or just, students use it for summarizing complicated text. Okay. Engineers could even use this. The problem with a lot of these tools is that they have a very broad range of categories. There's not just one or two. They're trying to summarize any document you throw at it. So they filled up what they call they basically take words and they convert them to vectors. Okay, and then they take those vectors. I'm going to try not to get too complicated here. They take three-dimensional space. Try to visualize that, and take that three-dimensional space and break it up into segments where each segment is a category. One category may be, let's say flying. Another category may be boating. Another category may be, I don't know, driving. The whole 3D space is broken up into categories. And then basically you'll take a word and convert it to a vector. And the vector that you create is based on databases of research that they've done that'll kind of align the axis of the vector so that it points into the area within 3D space of where that word lives. In other words, like a king would live somewhere where the other males are. Okay, other men, probably men of power. When everything is all broken up like that, right? Now, the magnitude of the vector or the length of it is going to dictate how strongly into that category it is. Now, when you convert words like that, you could then take two words and subtract them from each other mathematically and determine how far apart they are. So basically, what these summarizers try to do is go through and categorize everything and then break it down into categories. And then they summarize based on where most of the words, what categories they appear in. Okay. So unfortunately, when you look at the output from these, it's not really all that great. And it's not their fault. The algorithms are good. It's just that it's too broad. They're working on billions and billions of records of Western and Eastern speech and dictionaries and thesaurus and so on, and that's too big. In our case, for example, there's less than 30,000 words in the Thrill of the Chase. So if there's less than 30,000 words, and by the way, that's a lot of duplicates also. Our dictionary could not possibly be bigger than 30,000 words. What if you take the Thrill of the Chase? Okay, since Forrest Fenn has stated as a fact that there are hints there, you could basically take Thrill of the Chase and assume that that's the entire vocabulary required to solve the poem. Okay, so let's say, for example, that there's, I don't know, 10, 15,000 unique words in there, whatever. Those words, obviously, in a real life, don't make up all of Forrest Fenn's vocabulary, but they do make up enough vocabulary for us to solve the poem. How do we know this? We know this because Forrest told us this. So what we can do then is go back to the poem, and we're really only interested in categories that make up the 9 clues in the poem. So we can technically take that 3D tree, break it up into 9 areas, okay? And then we go through all of the words in the book, and we create vectors for them and map them out and distance them from each other and try to see where they all clump up, okay? And see which ones clump up in a category that would likely be Where Warm Water Halts, or a category that would be Canyon Down, and so on. Now, since we know that Forrest does not use, or I should say, I'm assuming that Forrest does not name anything directly, we might want to take certain words like canyon and give them low weight, because we don't want it to drive the data in our tree, because that's not the way he did things. Okay. And then for Where Warm Waters Halt, that could be an emotional thing. Forrest has said that warm is comfortable, right? So wherever he becomes uncomfortable in the book, his warm water is halted. So if we know that, okay, we can then look at the data that's in the book and categorize it after the words are vectorized and move it, and try to figure out. That is something that I don't think that you could do with any of these summarization tools that are online, because the people that created those do not have the luxury of being able to limit themselves to only 9, let's say 9 or 10 or a handful of categories. Okay. And we can even take that further. I mean, if you wanted to map it to a real world, our categories have to be in the Rocky Mountains, not for the clues, but where the chest is, right? We have a lot of things that we could do, but basically, instead of using, think of it this way: the Thrill of the Chase is nothing but, let's say, 29,000 words, okay? And let's say there's 10,000 unique words in there. Well, those 10,000 words make up Forrest vocabulary. Now you can eliminate a lot of the words like I, he, she, and weight the other words so that you could find out at a glance, if I'm looking for something that might be Where Warm Waters Halt, where specifically would that be in the book? And again, I'm partly, you can kind of, in layman terms, think of it as synonyms, but I don't believe that that's that easy. Again, I don't think, for example, Where Warm Waters Halt, again, may not have anything to do with water. So if you look at synonyms for the word water, or waters, plural, that might be misleading, because that's probably not what he did in the book. So we're not necessarily driving this based on synonyms. We're driving this based on the meaning of the words that he used. And basically, what I'm going to try to do, and I don't have any promises here, but I made a map, an application, a desktop app in the past, and the only person that ever got it was Sam Smith. I didn't give it to anybody other than Sam Smith and Forrest Fenn. And I made it maybe back in 2016. So a couple of weeks ago, I decided to go back through that app and update it. And what I'm going to try to do is add tools similar to this that will allow you to analyze the book, or actually any book if you want it. Assuming, see, there are legal barriers here. I can't take Forrest's book digitally and give it out. I can't sell it. I can't give it out for free. I can't put it anywhere. I can't include it with my app, right? But what I can do is I can allow the application to point to a PDF file, for example, right? Now, how you get a PDF file is up to you. Many people have done it. Toby's done it. You know, you could go to a service and say, hey, here's a book, scan it for me and give me back a PDF. And you pay them like $20 or whatever, and they do it. Or you could do it like I did and take your cell phone, take a picture of each page, and download Microsoft OneNote, which is free, and it's got built-in OCR. Bam, couple hours worth of work, got yourself a digital copy of the book. You're going to have to do that yourself. That's not something that I'm going to be involved in. And, you know, so, you know, again, I don't know when this app will come out. I may never finish it. Regardless, I'm giving out this information because if you have the ability to do it yourself, and I know the number of you who are capable of doing any of this is probably small, but, you know, go for it. Have at it. You know, you could start, there's many tools out there. There's one called Glove. There's Word to Beck, which is based on Google. You got Keras, which is kind of a framework that you can use with all of this stuff, right? But just keep in mind that those tools are going to be way too generic. You're going to have the knowledge to go ahead and know how to construct, you know, a tree and how to use the vectors, how to create the vectors, how to weigh them, how to measure the distances between them. You know, it could take you years to do all of that work. So there's a couple shortcuts you could take here and there. I'm not going to explain how to do that. That's up to you. But if I come out with this app, it'll be free because again, I'm not here to like other YouTubers. I'm not here to make money off anybody. There'll probably be a donate button. If you want to donate, fine. If you don't, you don't. That whatever. Okay. But I'm going to try to make an app that'll do that. Try to come up with a summary based on a PDF that you feed it and how that summary ties in with the poem. And then I'm also going to allow you to go ahead and I'm gonna probably ship a database of synonyms and antonyms and allow you to go ahead and basically I'm gonna call it poetic justice. You do everything to the poem that Forrest tells you not to do. I don't care if you sit there and replace every word, it'll do it automatically for you. And it's just, you know, half the times it's not going to make sense. There are tools online already that do this. They replace words with synonyms randomly, and half the time it don't make sense. But it, you know, it might cause you to think. DevJB on YouTube did a good video regarding stuff like that. And anyway, the summary. I'll leave a link to all of these. I took all these same chapters and I put the same one in there. I'm not going to give you the chapter text because I don't give out copyrighted information. So how you get the text is up to you. But you can mess around with all of these different tools and look at the summary it comes up with. And you'll see, like this one here, I already did. It came up with these sentences as a summary for this entire chapter. How valid it is, it doesn't really look valid. It might help some of you who are not programmers and you're not technical enough. There is no tool that you're going to find online that'll do exactly what I'm talking about. You could find these. You could find Glove. You could find Word to Vec. Those are all cool APIs. You could download the source code. You could compile them, run them, download test data. But you're going to be doing a lot of work and end up with the same results they get here, which is pretty much garbage. It may serve its own use, but it's not going to help you find a poem. It doesn't even do a good job at, in my opinion, at narrowing down what the poem is discussing about. Um, so that's the reason why, if you have the talent, then go for it. Take one of those, use it as a starting point, maybe, but you're gonna have to make your own data. You're gonna have to write your own code that'll go ahead and do these analysis. Um, and it's not simple. So that's one of the reasons why I don't know how long it's going to take or if I'll come out with it. I already have some of this in progress. I've been using stuff like this on my own. I was just trying to find a way to share it with you guys. And I'll do that. I have no problem with it, but I certainly don't have the ability or the time to spend months on this. And I wouldn't spend months on this, because I need I have other things I need to worry about besides just this. Um, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope that I finish this thing sometime relatively soon and get it out there to you, or maybe somebody else will come out with something similar. If you do, I suggest you give it away for free because I'm only going to come out with mine and give mine away for free and destroy your sales anyway. So, if you think you're going to go and come up with an app and sell it and make a lot of money, you pretty much got another thing coming, and it's not going to happen with this. So, anyway, have a good day, everyone, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.